just know that what you're building today, you might not see the fruits of labor for a little bit of time, but if you stay consistent and you hold on and you know going into it that this is a long game, that you are going to build your brand for life and attract clients that want to work with you for life, it is so worth it.
How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market, all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Good morning, marketing girls.
Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Modern Agent Marketing Girls. Today, we are blessed to have Emma Jordison with us to share all of her wisdom and knowledge and all the things. So welcome to the show, Emma.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
I want to start with just right off the bat, your content feels so authentic and not performative. And I feel like a lot of times when people are showing up on social media, it feels like they have to perform. Like they're almost like flipping a switch and now I'm in performance mode and then they create the content. Like maybe it just comes naturally to you, but like how do you show up in a way that just feels so like you and doesn't feel like it's a whole performance? Like it feels just so organic.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you. I feel like that is the best. It's the best compliment when you meet somebody off Instagram and they're like, oh my gosh, you are exactly who you are on Instagram. Like your personality is the same. The way you talk with your hands is the same. Because that's always been like the foundation to my social media is I want to show up exactly who I portray. The good, the bad, the chaos, like just being very relatable to my people. My business is 100% based on referral. I guess I shouldn't say 100%. A lot of my business has come from social media over the last couple of years. And I think when I try to think about my content and what I'm putting out there, I think about who would I want to follow? What would I be naturally like drawn to? You know, and we all have our own things that we love, but I think there's less pressure with that. You get to have more fun with that when you're just like, if I followed me, this is exactly what I would want. You know, whether that's somebody local or ideally, hopefully, your real estate agent.
That's a great thing to mention that, especially local. Like if you were to follow someone in your own community, like what do you want to see from them? Like what do you want to see from the local real estate agent? And you have really good local content. Do you have a strategy for how you incorporate local into your content? Or is it kind of random? Or like how do you pick the places you highlight?
A little bit of both. I try to make sure that my content touches different groups of people throughout the week. And I try to always make sure I'm doing something local once a week, whether that's just popping into Uptown Ankeny and visiting a few shops. There was a piece of content I put out last week through Modern Agent that was like spending, under $25 or whatever in Uptown. And that post was so much fun to do because I went into those shops and I chatted with, shop owners, Ankeny residents, right? And had conversations with them and they thought it was so cool that I was doing it. They were like, wait, so you're just in here and, and it's great for them too. Like it's great local content for them. And that's always been also at the root of what I do is everything I want to do with local content benefits small local businesses, something that they can hopefully repurpose and hopefully grows their business too. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little bit random, but it's also, there's some intentionality built behind that. Like I'm always trying to hit local once a week in some way, shape, or form.
I love that. And that's got to be so refreshing for the business owners in your town, because I think a lot of times agents do share local content, but a lot of their strategy is just like, well, how can I partner with them so that I get my name out there? And when you're just genuinely sharing, like, this is where we're going, this is what we like to do, or I just discovered this place. It doesn't even feel like a promo. It feels like, ooh, where are we going today? And so it just feels genuine, and that's got to be such a breath of fresh air for the shop owners that are there.
Yeah. I think it also naturally lends to good conversations, whether it's with the shop owners or whether it is with somebody that lives here in the area. Oh my gosh, we love that park too. We love that they switch out the stories every single month. Or, we love Porch Light. Like, what did you get on their spring menu this week? It just
Yeah.
starts with natural conversations because I'm never going to be the person that shows up in your DMs and is like, are you ready to buy now? But just as like you guys have taught us and how I've like grown my business over the last 4.5 years is just by working with people that know and like and trust me and building that trust through social media is a lot of the way just like showing what life is like around your community and building those connections with people that already live here and already love it too.
That's such a good point because it's not like we're just putting out content for like the void of Instagram just to be like, I hope somebody likes it. These are real people that you're like brushing shoulders with. You're driving by their shops and all of that stuff. I just feel like, the way that you do local content feels so effortless, but like it's got to be intentional. And like people especially in like small boutiques and stores and stuff, like they're having conversations with people every day. So if they know that you're the realtor that always like loves them, and like you're getting like basically paid to go shopping, like sign me up, right? So why not have them tell everybody like, oh my gosh, like you got to use Emma. She's so good, and that's what they're doing, which is so cool.
I think everyone wants to position themselves as the expert and like, I know all this information, but at the root of the referrals is just genuine connection and relationships. And if you're the one who like in town, you walk into a store and they're like, oh, hey, Emma, or like, and they start to know you and then other people see it. And like, did you ever read the book, The 7 Levels of Communication?
No, it's on my list though.
So it's a little, I shouldn't say outdated, but like it doesn't really involve social media, but I feel like you can kind of pair. So this guy starts going, he gets his license, he gets a coach, he starts going to the same, I think it's a coffee shop. I read it like 13 years ago or something. The same coffee shop every single day. So he goes there so frequently that like the people know his order, the servers know his name, so that he meets clients there and then the clients know them. And then like I kind of followed that method unknowingly when I got my real estate license at a local coffee shop. But when you pair that with then social media, not only like you said, you're supporting that local business, but now you're expanding that like touch point that I'm in person here. My face is here also online. And now like they're getting free exposure from you. And it's never to think like, what could I get back from them? I'm like convinced that if you go in with that mentality, it will never work for you because you're always like hungry in the wrong way and people will see right through it. But if you're just genuinely like, I love shopping here, I'm going to take a picture or video when I am here, like that builds so much trust and like that just brings in organic business, which is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, 100%.
As far as your actual like content creation process, so let's just talk kind of what we're doing now with like local. Is this something where you're like literally putting it on your calendar saying, I'm going to go to these places on this day? Or is it something where your kids are in the car, but you have a few minutes, you're going to pop in, or after a show? Like, what is the process behind this so that people can like really put themselves in your shoes and see if it would work for them?
Yeah. I wish I was that spontaneous. And sometimes I am. Like sometimes I'm genuinely like, I have a listing appointment in Waukee. Oh, I'm going to stop because, I go back to my intake form. Oh, my sellers love iced lattes. I'm going to stop at the Coffee Smith before I head to their house. So sometimes it is a little bit spontaneous, but I'm very much so a planner. Every single month I have a calendar laid out. I used to be a teacher, so I'm very paper pen still. And I go through the content and I just kind of strategically put it in. If I know I have a listing coming in, I know that I'm going to be building up some of that. So I might be, if the listing is, in Ankeny, I might be stopping at some places near that listing that week and just playing that up in anticipation. But I think the reason why I have been a little bit more intentional with planning it out on a calendar is life gets really busy. We've got 3 boys. The last thing I want is it to be like 5 o'clock on a Thursday and I'm like, oh no, I didn't post, and then feel like the pressure of putting something haphazardly out because we all know that's not going to stick. If I have it planned, ideally if I have it scheduled, but if I have it planned out, I can go in that day knowing what I need to accomplish. I feel good about posting it. It doesn't have to be a post. It doesn't have to be a reel every single day, but just showing up on social media has always been a goal of mine in some way, shape, or form every single day. And then also too, like it allows me to kind of just, again, stay top of mind to people. I always wanted to make sure that when life got busy, when my business grew, I wasn't going to become the agent that her last post was from 2023. People have to know that you're doing things. Like, they have to know you're relevant and that you are still doing real estate. Like, that's the worst question someone could ask is like, is she still doing this? So
Yes.
yeah, I've kind of made it like a daily habit of just, along with exercising and trying to drink water, of showing up on socials. So yeah, having a plan, I think, has been a game changer for me.
I love what you just said. And what would you say to the person who, because like the worst thing someone could say is she still an agent? Let's talk to the agents who maybe haven't really shown up in a while, or maybe they look at social media more like, I'm just going to check the box. Like, what would you say to them? Because you know what can happen? They just check the box and the content doesn't really reflect their personality or anything about them. We talked about in the beginning, you show up very authentically and just like as you are. What would you tell them, like, to not convince them, but to persuade them that, like, if you just put a little bit of energy and effort into this personally and not try to check the box, but try to do it intentionally, is going to work so much better for you than just having this presence that someone took care of for you, on the side, or like it's just there to be the post that tells people you aren't like retired or something like that.
Yeah. I think the first thing is, as you guys would both probably agree, you have to want it. Like, you have to want to show up on socials. There are some amazing agents that crush it that don't show up on socials, and because that's not for them. That's not their avenue for business or something they even enjoy. And I've seen agents do this where they're like, I hate social media, but I know I should show up on it. Maybe not. Maybe there's something else for you. And maybe something else works better for your business. But for the agents that are like, I want to grow my business through social media, I just don't know how, or I just don't know how frequently to show up, start with 1 or 2 things a week. I just had this conversation with an agent, a friend of mine who just became an agent, and she's kind of getting her feet with social media. And I told her, like, just start with 1 or 2 things a week. That way you know that it's going to be quality over quantity. You're going to really spend time making sure the 1 or 2 things you put out this week are really good stuff. Like, it's really good stuff. You've spent time curating and it looks nice and it's you. It's not just something you just like grabbed off of the internet and threw out there. See if anyone, grabs on it. But it also doesn't have to be like, oh, great, I put my just listed post up and I put my just sold post up. Like, I honestly even think sometimes it's like, we don't need to tell people what we do. Like, that is the expectation, is that like, I am just listing things and I am just selling things. So like, what other substance can I bring to the table? And it could be as simple as, yeah, I'm stopping at the coffee smith on my way to the Waukee listing appointment. I'm putting on my stories and I'm asking people what their favorite coffee shop is in Waukee or what they order. It doesn't even have to be a full-fledged 9-slide carousel post, So just starting simple and keeping it very you. Like, would I love this post? Would I love to interact on this story? And just because, I try to show up every single day on social media, it doesn't mean that has to be, you don't have to, it's not a 1 or nothing.
That's so true. And, I do agree with you that agents almost want to like prove their worth and prove their value by telling everyone what all they know. But then I think, like, when I was a hairstylist, if I would have gotten on social media and been like, well, she's a level 5, and if I want to raise her to this, then I'm going to have to use this. Like, people would have been like, what? But if I would say, hey, watch us take her from this to this, and then like, here's what we talked about during that, that's what they want to know, They assume that I know what I'm doing. They assume that I know what I'm talking about. Just like people assume real estate agents know what they're talking about. They want to know what else. Like, why should I care,
I like the filter of like, would I like this? Like, I always will say, like, what's in it for them? What's in it for the person consuming it? And almost like flipping it, because you kind of attract people that are similar to you when you create content in this way and have a personal brand. So almost putting it through your own filter, because that's like a almost tougher test to think, would I like this? Like, that's you're a harsher critic on yourself. So to ask that question is like, you could easily be like, no, like, no, that's not the right piece of content. Or like, how can I change this? But even the example you just gave of simply, I'm getting coffee here on my way to a listing appointment. What is your favorite coffee shop? Like, that could be a post. It could be a story. And it's just that like little breadcrumbs that build the brand and make people think of you without trying to like prove yourself or like going back to the word perform. It's just like a simple, hey, come along with me. And I think you've done such a good job at that. You also talked a few times about just being a mom and having 3 boys. Like, how do you do such a good job sharing that, but not like oversharing it? And I think a lot of people are afraid that, well, I don't want to show my kids, or like, I feel like I won't be taken seriously if I have a mom brand, or like, but you do it in a way that's very aligned and feels cohesive without being like, wait, is she just like a stay-at-home mom or is she a realtor? Like, it's no question that you're a real estate agent through your content. How do you do it? Like, do you have a strategy for it? Is it more just like the document over create angle? Like, what's your mom life brand component?
Oh my gosh. What I always tell people, if they call me during certain hours of the day, it's a disclaimer. Like, they have to know that there's basically like a WWE match happening behind me. No, I think it's just, again, it's just being super relatable. Like, this is my life. You're spot on, Chelsea. Like, I think a lot of my content does generally provoke business that is very in alignment with who I am and what kind of season of life I'm in and what kinds of things I enjoy. Not that that has to be everything. Of course, I work with anybody, but it does. Like, your vibe attracts your tribe. That saying is like very much so with content. And so I would say like that's a little bit more spontaneous. Like, we love to go to parks. We were talking about this earlier. Like, the minute it's 65 and sunny, you can find us at a park. And so I think that that's just another way that I kind of try to build that. I'm pretty involved with some mom groups here in the Des Moines area, playdate groups, just because, number one, I love that. Like, I got into real estate so that I can go to a park date at 10 a.m. on a Friday. And so I'm doing that, number one, for me and my family. And number two, I'm doing that because that's brand building. My entire personality is being mom first and trusted real estate, agent second. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. That's probably the most spontaneous part of my content is just kind of that. And I think it's funny too. A lot of good conversations start from that too, of like, oh my gosh, like we were up till 1 a.m. with the storms last night also, just good conversations.
Yes. You know what I really love is like, especially being a mom of 3 boys, you have like your whole life, right? Like, your house is probably, like you said, like WWE matches, throwing balls everywhere and like wrestling, whatever. But that doesn't mean that's all that you are, right? And I love that social media can be like an escape, like where you're yourself, but you're the curated version of yourself on your social media, right? So like, even like, I feel the same way with mine too. Like, I do all these mom things all the time, but I get to go to a place where I just get to talk about the things that I like to talk about. And of course my kids are a part of that. I can't get away from them. But like, it can be this like really cool thing. And that's what's so cool about a personal brand is like, you don't have to share all of you, but you get to share the parts that you really want people to see. And it's kind of like you get to step into something that's like the best version of yourself that you're like really proud of, which is so cool.
Yeah.
You get to choose what you want to be known for. I think it's the most exciting part about social media. Like, you're going to tell people what to remember about you. You're going to tell people how to think about you. Or like, if they're at a dinner and real estate comes up, they're going to know what to say about you based on what you share and how you show up. And I think that's the best part. Like, you're building your reputation for yourself versus just being like a name on a list in a broker's website with a headshot. Like, it's so much, you have so much more control over the referrals you're getting, even like the kind of people that you're working with, which is like the dream for most people when they get into real estate.
Yeah. One of the most unforeseen things that I noticed over the last couple of years, and I think that's just kind of completely just a nod to like the great content and the great education that you guys provide. I will regularly have people message me or text me and be like, hey, we have like family coming in this weekend. Where should we go get pizza? And I think I've like let that guard down for people to feel like they know that I'm an agent, but like they also know that I lean so heavily into content that's local because I love living here. Like, I've lived here my entire life. And that was at first, like, that was something that was kind of like odd. Like, I was like, oh, why are they asking me about pizza? And it's like, no, duh. It's because I've allowed that part of my life to be more than just real estate.
Yeah.
They don't have to ask me like what the interest rate is. And, should I buy? Like, they can ask me, hey, is now a good time to buy? And also, where should we get ice cream this week? It's going to be 75 degrees. And I love that. Like, I love that balance so much.
That's so fun. It's so much more fun that way. It's almost like if you don't have that, you're like putting yourself in this box where you're like, you cannot knock on this door unless you're ready to talk about real estate. Other than that, I don't want to talk to you. But like, that's like, you're almost building a wall between yourself and building relationships. Like, you're shutting them away, you're pushing them away or shutting them down without trying to, but that's what that's doing essentially. So that's the best. It's like you're the little local mayor of like having fun in your city, right? And living in your city.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that you recognize too that is a win. Because I think a lot of people start posting and within like a month, they're like, well, no one's asked me for my guide or no one's asked me for a consult. And it's like, hold on. Like, did you have anyone like your story? Or did you have anyone respond when you would ever? Are you even sharing in stories? And Chelsea, I know that you found something too from Emma from when she first joined that I want you to share in a minute. But I want to ask you first,
no.
Emma. I know. It's really good. But I want to ask you if you remember, Emma, when you first joined, and maybe you even were doing some social media stuff before, but what were some of those like first wins that you were like, oh, I think this is working, even if you hadn't gotten a client yet?
Yeah. I think the first few wins, I remember there was like this big shift in my real estate content. So I always knew social media was going to be, with our brokerage calls them spokes. So ways that we build our business. I always knew social media was going to be a spoke of mine. Granted, I started in 2021 when everyone said that. And it was fun to do TikTok dances and put signs in the yard because they would sell in 5 seconds. But I was like, no, I really do want social media to be a foundational piece of my business. And I'm going to make sure that's the case. And so really early on in my career, like I was just creating content, not really knowing a lot about real estate because the most learning that happens is when you're actually in the field. But I was just kind of like haphazardly like throwing things together, trying to make some kind of consistent brand. And then when I made this switch and I recognized that I was like, okay, I need to level up my business and I need some help with that. I started noticing like the engagement was up, but also like people were noticing too, which at first I was nervous about. But then I was like, no, this is actually a beautiful thing. Like people were more engaged in my content. They were asking me things like, oh my gosh, I loved that post that you did about, grabbing a dinner and your perfect date night or whatever. Or I loved that guide that you put out. And this was all new to me, but I was like, okay, well, I think this is working. And then there started to be like these systems that I put in place because the content was doing so well that I was actually getting leads from social media, which was exciting. And then I was like, okay, now it's time to put some systems in place. And so I've kind of reached that point now where I feel about 80%, like I'm there. I don't know if I'll ever feel 100%, but I feel like I'm 80% there where it's like I've built something consistent. People, they, open their Instagram app. They know what they're going to see because I've kind of built that consistency. And then I've kind of made this like entry low enough that they feel like it's okay to reach out. It's safe to reach out and they're going to get exactly what they're hoping to get on the other side. I think I remember leaning pretty heavily into local content right away because that was so new to me. I was like, I knew that just listed things were not like for me, like the traditional just listed, just posted, or just pending, whatever. But like the actual local content that almost like daringly didn't feel like real estate at all. Like it just was like, oh, can I post about this? This feels odd that this would show up on a real estate agent's feed. And then it did so well that I was like, nope, this makes 100% sense. So I feel like that was some of that stuff that early on I just like kind of caught wind of and like ran with it.
That's such a good thing to start with is local. Agents that will say, well, I don't have listings right now, or I don't have a closing to post about. So like, I don't know what to post. And it's like, there's so much in a community, whether it's real estate focused or it's where to go to eat, or it's where I'm going to eat when I go tour these neighborhoods or after I tour these neighborhoods. Like that makes it so engaging because everyone else is living there too. And they're like, where is she going? I didn't know about that neighborhood. Like, it almost like you could gamify it and be like, every week I'm going to go tour a new neighborhood, learn everything about it, like in MLS, and then I'm going to talk about it in my stories and share something, and then I'm going to get a coffee here and put that in there too. Like it's so much. I think people overcomplicate it, and when we like pull it back a little bit, it's like it's really pretty simple. It's like these little things that are like seemingly maybe insignificant sounding. I think because people are looking for like, well, what's like the magic post that you did that changed it all?
Right.
Or like, what's the one thing that got like what post got the lead? Like people want to know the exact thing, but it's really the culmination of all these little things that compile over time that people are like, no, I'm going to Emma or I'm reaching out to Emma. Like she's my go-to, right? I want to read this thing that you wrote. Well, it's 90 days after you joined. So you said, in just 90 days since joining, I've reached over 65,000 accounts, grew my follower count by 38.7%, which has increased my profile visits 139%. So like I was so impressed mostly that you track those analytics. Like that's a really smart move. You weren't like, it's not working. I didn't get a lead in like 30 days or after posting a couple times. You were looking at like, is this moving the needle forward though? Like, here's the things I'm doing, and is it impacting my reach? Is it impacting who I'm getting in front of? And it was. And like, that's such a smart way to look at it. Other than like, I think people want to track like the one metric of like, if an actual person says, I'm ready to buy a house, that's their only connection to that this is working. But there's so many things that happen first that you have to be doing those other things and tracking those other analytics. Currently, do you still look at those metrics, or are you more kind of focused on just showing up intentionally and it flows as you go?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I should be much better at tracking my metrics. I think one of the things that I do is I try to look and see, you have those Instagram insights, and that's kind of helpful too. I like to see like what content did really well like last month or last week or whatever. And then I try to dissect it and figure out why. And sometimes it's very easy. Like, oh, of course that went bonkers because it was very heavy local, and it didn't even really have any scent of real estate in it, which again, there's nothing wrong with posting real estate content. Like, we're real estate agents. We have to let people know that we do this, but you can be so subtle with it. Some of my favorite posts are like those carousels where it's like local, 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 local. Oh, and also I'm a real estate agent. Like, it's just so good. And it's just that subtle reminder of like, oh yeah. And Chelsea, you said this earlier, like social media is such a long game. And I think unfortunately a lot of agents bow out before they let that take its course. I mean, it's the same thing as like if you start lifting weights, you're not going to have abs in 3 days. But if you do the things and you do it over time and you're consistent with it, it's hard to pinpoint what post brought this lead to me. It probably wasn't that post. Maybe it was them seeing that and saying, you know what, I followed her for enough time. I feel comfortable with her.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to make the jump. Or now I am ready to move. Last year when I followed her, we were renting. But now our lease is coming up in a couple months.
Yep.
I feel like I know her through socials. I think it's time to go ahead and reach out and grab coffee. Yeah. And so I try to track some of more like the metrics of like what was doing really well, so I can try to prioritize that for the next month. But I already know that is something that I've kind of seen, is that my social media has just kind of consistently grown, which is always healthy metrics, because as long as you're growing, something's sticking.
We talk about personal branding all the time, but maybe that sounds complicated. But what if I told you you could have a personal brand by Friday?
We're giving you a simple week-long plan with clear action steps to follow Monday through Friday, so by the end of the week, you have everything you need to start standing out in your market.
Click the link in the show notes to grab your personal brand by Friday guide so you can get started today. Did you ever feel or fear like saying that you are the like DSM agent was going to turn people away or make people think, oh, I can't work with her, or she only works there? Like, how did you decide, this is what I'm calling myself, this is what I'm going to be known as, and has it paid off?
Yeah. I don't even know when I started like coining that phrase. And I've had so many people ask me if I'm going to trademark it. And quite honestly, I feel like it's more of like chasing it's like chasing something I don't need to chase. But I think it's funny because people kind of like started to latch onto that, and they're like, oh, you're Des Moines Homegirl, blah, 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 or you're DSM Homegirl or whatever. And it did kind of make me wonder, like, will people think I only serve Des Moines? And so being an Ankeny resident, and I do a healthy amount of business in my hometown, Ankeny, I try to kind of marry a little bit of that. Like, DSM Homegirl is like the Des Moines surrounding area. It's local, but then just being very hyper local with, today I'm showing you Uptown Ankeny, this cute little historic town in Ankeny, or this little downtown in Ankeny. Or I'm going to the East Village in Des Moines today. Or, I'm going to go check out Little Leaf in Waukee, and just making it very hyper local so that people know, oh, okay, she doesn't just serve one area. But yeah, it's so funny. I feel like it's just something that I kind of like threw out, and then it started to kind of catch. And I'm like, okay, we'll run with it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think people are so afraid to declare a neighborhood or declare a town.
Yeah.
And I always think like most people in your area, especially if you're in a series of small towns, most people know how real estate works. Like, they understand that like you serve sometimes within an hour of where you live. But I think sometimes people are so afraid to just say the thing, say it out loud,
There's been enough posts that I think are so smart where it says like, these are the areas that I serve. And I think that's really helpful, because here in Des Moines, like you can probably get anywhere within 30 minutes, depending on what kind of road construction's going on. And so, even though I live in Ankeny, I can get to Urbandale in 30 minutes. And so I do serve a lot of Des Moines surrounding areas, but people forget that like I can go up to Ames, which is just 30 minutes of, north of Ankeny, but isn't Des Moines. And so I think also like calling it out too, and just being like, instead of being like, I wonder if people know, just like calling a spade and being like, did you know that I serve all of these areas?
Yeah.
That content I feel like does really well too. And it's super helpful.
Yeah.
First of all, I love that I know all of these city names because my family's from Iowa. So everyone you list, I'm like, I know that. I know it's there, which is so fun. But what I was going to say is it's really interesting. So we were at a restaurant last night and they kind of totally revamped their menu. And the menu is now very like Wisconsin focused, but in like an upscale way. And before I'm like, their menu was okay, but it was like kind of random. Like they would have like one, I don't know what, but like nothing specific. And I looked at the menu and I was like, I literally want everything on here. Like this all sounds so like they had bacon wrapped water chestnuts as an appetizer. Like that is my grandma made those my whole life for like an appetizer. I'm like, it was so just like cozy Wisconsin Midwest feeling food on there. And I said like this was so smart on their part to niche down their menu instead of just trying to like make everyone happy with all these random dishes that felt like none of it really sounds good, which has nothing to do with where you're selling real estate, but it kind of does. It's like when you do kind of just focus in on what is the thing I want people to say about me or I want to be known for it. It's not like I can't go there and ask for or like get a burger and like take off the specialty topping or whatever. Like you can still get that, but it's going to make people talk about it more. Like the reason I'm talking about it now is because it's stuck in my mind. And the same thing happens when you're specific about an area. And I almost think it invites more conversation sometimes of someone saying like they love following you. You've stuck in their head so much as the DSM Homegirl and like, hey, would you go to Guthrie Center or like whatever, like they're almost more compelled to ask like, but do you go there versus just thinking, oh, she doesn't go there. I don't really truly think anyone would think that. I think that it almost makes them want to ask to like confirm that you can help them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're exactly right. And I have had a few people reach out and ask that, like, hey, would you go, out to this city or this town or whatever? And I think there's also some power in, having those agent connections and saying, well, I don't serve that area, but I have someone that you're going to love just as much that does. And that's a big goal of mine in 2026 is just to kind of build those connections, outside of the Des Moines area, but also just across like the United States, like finding some good connections. And there are a few that I have that are so fantastic. So when I have a client that, relocates outside of Des Moines, I know exactly who to send them to. But I think that's also really good is like to know your niche, not stretch yourself too far, because then you kind of lose that credibility of like knowing these places so well. But then also having those agent connections of just like, yeah, I don't serve that area, but I have someone you're going to love and I'm going to get you connected right away.
Yeah, almost intentionally picking out like I have someone in all these pockets that I can refer.
Yeah. And just the whole idea of like just using two different names for what you want to be known at. Like, you don't need to just choose one. It's one area, but you can call it two different things. And then, as you create content, as you visit these local places, intentionally choose a couple of the towns that you do serve and like make it such a natural part of your content, right? Can we talk about your brand photos for a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I love them. What I love about your photos, and anyone can go on to your Instagram and see this, is they're professional. I assume they look like professional photos, but they also look like Instagram photos. They don't look like overly
Lifestyle.
polished. And like, when did you get all of these taken? What was your mindset behind it? What were your like parameters? Like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly.
I love this one. I have her account
Those
pulled up.
jeans were the best. And I did not send them. They were in a newly order and I did not send it, but they were so, so cute. So I've been very, very blessed. I was connected with a good friend of mine. Her name's Ari. And Ari's mom and I taught at the same school when I was a teacher. And Ari and I just kind of stayed connected. She leaned heavily into photography. And so we just kind of stayed connected as I transitioned to real estate. And she was one of my first calls when I became an agent. And I said, I really want some branding photos done, but I don't want them to be like the boring studio ones. With like,
yes.
I know this video might come out, but exactly. If you're listening to this, it's just like the awkward hand cross where you're like gently touching your elbows. And so I told her, I was like, I want these to be fun. I want these to feel like Emma. And I have the luxury of, she knows me very well. And so she already kind of got that vibe. But the first branding photo shoot I had was actually at a good friend of mine. Her home in the country. It's beautiful, and it's just, it was white, and it was very aesthetically pleasing. And we just went and snapped some photos, and we started from there. I still use those photos a lot. And so then we just kind of made a point that in changing seasons, and kind of sometimes we did it biannually. More recently, we do it more like quarterly, where I just say, hey, let's grab an hour. Let's go to either a cute little staged studio, or let's go to the actual vacant, new construction listing that we have permission to go photograph in. Or I have a friend who has this beautiful house that we can use, just different things like that. And we spend maybe an hour and a half at most taking a few shots. She sends me 20 to 30, and I just rotate them and I keep them fresh. I usually come with a couple of ideas, but I think the key here is, yes, I'm super blessed to have her, but also it's kind of like doing the research of like, what do you want your photos to be like? And then finding someone that here we go again, know, like, and trust, that is going to get your vibe and then be able to deliver your content that you want. She makes it really fun. So it's just very zero pressure. And, sometimes we just meet in the district at Prairie Trail over here in Ankeny, and we grab like 30 iPhone photos, because I'm like, I don't always need like the professional photos. Sometimes I just need like, here's me and my hyper like walking through or whatever. It's a cute color. I've got a cute shirt on and the flowers are blooming. Let's snap a couple of pictures. Very lifestyle. The stock photos are great for, your business cards, but the lifestyle is just what grabs people's attention. It stops like the scroll feed, I think. So yeah, I think that was a big thing where I was like, hey, if I'm going to lean into social media, I also need my content to fully embody like the vibe I'm going for. And she just does that so well. So,
well, you've done it so well too.
I'm super blessed to have her. But I also think it just, for an agent listening to this that's like, I don't have that go-to person, is to tap into your community and maybe find them. And it doesn't have to be super professional and edited, and you don't need 100 photos. You just need, 10 to 20 that you can rotate that you love.
I love the idea of a younger, even a college kid who loves social media and creating content, and they come and bring their phone and snap photos of you, like what you said, downtown or even at a house, but use a phone. Like, it will be very authentic photos that feel like you, compared to like when you try to do a whole big shoot and then you go to this, and then you end up with this like a little bit different version of like the touching your elbow, arms crossed. But it's still kind of like in that realm and doesn't feel quite like you. What do you bring for props when you do that? Do you bring a lot of props or just like a minimal few things?
Yeah. I normally, that's like kind of my homework, is to send a couple of inspirational photos or poses. I kind of have about 5 or 10 that I rotate, that I do kind of the same thing, just because I just kind of learned like, standing like this or sitting like this, it shows up well on certain pieces of content, especially like where the text is going to be. But also it's just like a natural, like I'm not doing something weird with my arms. It's just naturally how I would stand. And then I also like, I'll write a list of things that I want to bring. So like, my AirPods, my MacBook is a no-brainer, branded guides, usually a branded or some branded items, something that's on brand for me, like hyper drink or coffee or whatever. I like to like talk with my hands. And so I also think it's helpful sometimes, especially when you're maybe not super comfortable in front of the camera, having something to do with your hands. So like pretending I'm typing, sending a text, answering a call, even just like little things like popping your AirPods in. Again, I think it like disrupts a little bit of the scroll. Everyone has the like, oh, I'm responding to this text picture. I have them. Like I have 5 of them.
Yeah.
But I also think those other subtle things of like, one of our most recent branding photo shoots, I brought like little sticky notes and we made like a timeline of the buyer process, and just like
so cute.
Doing something different, like we're house hunting and putting the sticky note up, which is something different to just kind of disrupt the standard photos.
Those are such good ideas.
Yes, seriously. Did you have a chance to look at our spring photo challenge that we're doing in the membership next week?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. Because that's what I'm picturing. Like, I literally picture someone, if they can commit to doing this just a few times a year, and yes, you always want a few photos in between too, but it's like, you literally can just do this. Like, get a phone, go somewhere, bring a friend or bring another agent or whatever. And like, if you just like think about some of these things intentionally, like just like you're describing, you can get so much content out of that and make content creation so much easier.
Yes, yes. And a lot of agents, like, we're all secretly kind of hoping that somebody else is going to, like, reach out and be like, "Hey, do you wanna just go grab
Yes.
coffee and walk around East Village and take a few pictures this afternoon?" I mean, there's agents in my office that have said, like, "Hey, do you wanna just, like, on a random Wednesday when we're both got an hour or so, go
Yep.
do this?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." Because it doesn't have to be, like, this big whole shindig. Like, I mean, I think there's a time and place for those type of photos, but it also is just, like, sometimes the best content that performs the best is when it's just a very, here I am showing
Yeah.
up on a normal day, walking around with a cute shirt and a nice cup of coffee. Like,
Yeah. It's actually just that simple.
Yeah.
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 If this were easy, what would it look like? I love that question. Like, if this were easy, what would it look like?
Yeah. Love that.
For sure.
What is your favorite part of social media? Like, what's your favorite thing to do, or your favorite, I guess, favorite thing to come from it, but like more so favorite thing to create or do? Like, it could be video versus, I don't know. You just tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, gosh, I did probably about 3 years ago, I started doing, I called it like days of giveaways around the Christmas season. And I tapped into local businesses, and every single day there was a giveaway day. And that was really kind of where I think I actually like did a very hard launch into connecting with local businesses, like on a deeper level of just like, instead of just popping in and being like, here's my cute cup of coffee I got, at Smoky Row. It was like, I'm actually reaching out to the business owners, and I'm actually building like relationship with them. So that is really fun. And people love that. I mean, everyone loves a good giveaway. Hello. It's like so fun. And it definitely grows, like it definitely grows your platform, but also you're growing your platform incredibly hyper locally. I mean, these are
Yeah.
all people that are like, oh yeah, I follow Tweedledees as well. So like I totally saw this get posted on there, when they collabed or whatever.
Yeah.
So I love stuff like that. I'm doing something different right now that I've never done before. And I'm showing up on social media like for 30 days straight, which
Yes.
it's a grind, but like super fun. And I'm really excited. I'm, about a third of the way through it. And I'm really excited to see kind of what comes of that. I don't have like any big aspirations of it. Like I wasn't like, man, I hope that this 30-day series grows my, Instagram follower account to like 10,000 or whatever. That wasn't really at all my goal with it. But I definitely think like it's something that has been something I've never done before.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can
it's
you
been
tell
fun.
us about it? I love what you're doing. So tell everyone
Yeah.
all about it.
So just like all of my ideas, we were talking about this earlier too. Like I don't do anything very like small or simple. So I was driving to a listing appointment about a month ago, and I was kind of like reviewing some of the things that they put in their intake form. And one of the questions I ask in their intake form is there anything that you're really concerned about, or anything that you're scared about or you're nervous about with this selling process? And for these people specifically, they were like, we're just really worried that we're going to have to like overhaul our entire house, getting it ready to list. And then just like the maintaining of making it look like IKEA for however long we need to while it's listed. And so I'm driving and I'm like, gosh, I wonder if there was like a way that I could kind of like teach people with what to do, like bite-sized things, tangible things that they should do and that they can do every single day leading up to their listing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to show up for 30 days on social media. So I started building out scripts, and I started kind of like, I got my calendar back out, and I just every single day had a name tag. I was specifically going to target different things. And I don't know if by the time that this airs, I might be done with the 30 days, but I'm really hoping that one message comes out from the 30 days is that like I want it to be doable. Like I want my sellers to feel like, number one, when they sit down with me, like I'm not going to just show up 2 days before your house goes on the market and be like, all right, let's put the sign in the yard and let's go. Like I am here with you for the long haul. I'm here with you before, I'm here with you during, and I'm going to be there for you afterwards too. Like I am your real estate girl for life, but I want to make sure that I'm helping you and your home put its best foot forward. And so let's talk about the things we have to do or the things we should do. And so I built out these 30 days, and it's low-key helping me have more empathy for my clients. Because some of the days I'm like, oh, this is super easy. This is quick. I'm just going to go and touch up some paint around my house. And other days it's like, we are overhauling the basement and we are going through the toys that we need to donate and throw away that have somehow made it from our previous move to our current move and not going with us to our future move. And it's kind of built a little bit more empathy, like really putting myself in my seller's shoes. And, especially for my sellers that have kids, and just like what that looks like. But then also just like helping them have tangible tasks to do every 30 days. And I hope like a subtle message in all of it too is like, hey, we can do this in 30 days and we can get you going. But it is so much less stressful when you reach out 2 months in advance.
Yes.
You can reach out 6 minutes in advance. Like I've been blessed with a lot of clients this year that reached out to me at the end of last year or even last fall. And they're like, hey, we're thinking about moving next spring or next summer. And they have had the luxury of preparing their home over the next 3-4 months and not, rapidly doing it. So the messaging is you can do it. You can absolutely get your house ready for the market in 30 days. But also like proper planning just makes you less stressed when you go to sell it. And just kind of having that guide. So, yeah, that's just kind of it.
It's so smart. Chelsea and I have talked about this a lot lately when it comes to like interest rates, for example. When our content is all about like, I know the interest rates are high, or if you're frustrated by the interest rates and all of that. And then we started talking about how like all that's doing is attracting all these people who are frustrated and who are hesitant and aren't sure that this is the right time for them. Why don't you go ahead and speak to the people who are like, wait, I want to move and no one's talking about what it's like to move right now. And so I love that for you, you're like, hey, like I'm going to put this out there because I want people to know it's possible. It's so smart to like actually think, who is this message going to? How will this impact their, buying decisions from here forward? And like, how will it, not only that, but like, how will it bring me the clients I want to work with? Like,
yeah.
Genius, Emma. A star student. You get an A for the day.
It's been fun. And honestly, like my house by the end of April it's going to be organized, decluttered. It's going to be in really good shape. So, and honestly too, like I think I even put this in my first reel. Like this doesn't have to be just for the people that are selling their house. We talk a lot about like loving where you live. And sometimes that means moving on from where you're currently at to something else. And sometimes that means like finding contentment in where you are and staying put. And, I have conversations with people sometimes that are like, I just don't have enough space. Like I have to move. And it's like, okay, well, let's weigh the pros and cons. And, is it a move? Like, do we need to make a move? Or is it, maybe we need to do like a house audit and kind of figure out if this is still the right place for us? Because we love the location. We love our neighbors.
Right.
We don't want to move districts. It doesn't feel like us anymore. It could be the house, or it could be that we just kind of, we've deferred a lot of things and it's time to do a little bit of an audit. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What a fun way to create content. And like Kayla said, attract the person that you really want to consume it, whether they want to stay there and love their house, or they are like, hey, help me sell my house. But also as an agent going through that, like, what to do. So like you can even use this like when you're done as an agent, I got my house ready for the market in 30 days. But this is why it's so important for you to reach out to me 60 days in advance. Or like, I mean, obviously that's not always the case, right? Like there's last minute situations or whatever. But like ideally for the least amount of stress, the least amount of whatever, the biggest impact, like 60 days is that sweet spot. And it just helps people, because I think sometimes people wait a really long time to reach out. Like they're basically ready to put the sign up and then they're like, okay, but then could they have done things a lot easier or better or with your advice if they reached out sooner? So I think it's such a good also learning lesson that you can like continue with your content after this series and use those little mini lessons kind of.
Yeah, 100%. I think so many people are nervous. Like they feel like they have to have, A through Y figured out before they reach out. And it's like, no, actually, I want you to reach out at A.
Yeah.
and let me know so that I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to expedite your timeline, but I am going to give you tangible things to be doing so that you aren't panicking, when it is go time. And I love when you have the ability to capture somebody before they're like, and we need to go, and we'll get you there. I mean, we'll do it. But you also have that opportunity then to build that relationship with them and establish that trust and create a really exceptional experience for them, because we aren't just flying by the seat of our pants. Like, nope, we're being very strategic about this and we're being very intentional to make sure that like you have the best experience possible.
I just thought of a really good idea, maybe. Okay, what if you took your 30 days and you turned it into like an email freebie, if you will?
Yes.
And you put together like 30 days to sell your house challenge. And if they sign up for it, they get a daily email. And you could put a little blurb about like what they're going to do, but then you just link your reel.
Yes.
Wait, I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
And
so
now
funny,
you're
Chelsea.
building your
'Cause
email list.
yes, I was literally sitting here thinking this could be turned into some kind of like PDF or something, but I love the idea of like daily email with a corresponding video. You're going to be set, Emma. Look
Oh my
at
goodness, I
you.
love that so much.
The DSM Homegirl method to selling your house in
Yes.
30 days or prepping your
See,
house.
this
for
was
sale in 30
actually like a brainstorming session. You guys can't tell.
100%.
I can't help but like when you have that good idea, I'm like, wait, we've got to make this last for life, for a lifetime.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay, we are almost out of time, but I have to ask you if there are agents right now listening who are either on the fence about like, can I really show up every day? Like, do I really have this in me? Or even if they're thinking like, could Modern Agent help me with this? What would you tell them?
I think the biggest thing is you just have to go for it. I knew that doing 30 days of content, my husband was like, you're going to show up on Instagram for 30 days. Like the first 2, I was like, oh no, I need to retake that, or I need to change the script a little bit more. And obviously the goal is to put out quality content, but it's also like you're showing up for 30 days. The biggest thing is to get it out there. Like put yourself out there. We talk a lot about like face to camera. Like it does not need to be perfect. You need to have a clear message and you need to get it out there. And, I think that's the biggest thing is just like taking the leap of faith. I think the other thing too is just know that what you're building today, you might not see the fruits of labor for a little bit of time, but if you stay consistent and you hold on and going into it that this is a long game, that you are going to build your brand for life and attract clients that want to work with you for life, it is so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so much better than just chasing empty leads or trying 100 different things and spending tons of money, hoping spaghetti sticks to the wall. Like lean into the things that are you, lean into the things that you love doing, and then do them well and do them consistently. And it will grow your business probably more than you anticipate. Like that is kind of, I'm going to get emotional. Like that is, I think that's probably the biggest thing. Like I would tell myself 3 years ago is like, stay the course, lean into the things are working, and just like show up and be yourself. Like everything else will fall into place. So
yeah.
You also made it through a really hard time in real estate where a lot of agents that came in at the same time as you are already out the door. And I think that's a testament to you following what you know is going to work for you and having that be one of your spokes. Like I love that term, but dedicating the time to it to get practice, get better, like because you've shown up for all these years, like now I'm not saying it's effortless, but it probably is a lot less stressful or hard or I don't know what I'm going to do because you put in the time and the effort and the reps. Like you've been showing up for several years now. And now you're like in a whole nother groove with this series and this commitment to 30 days. And like, it just shows how making that commitment to yourself will pay off if you stick with it. If you don't make it the bottom priority, but you make it like closer to the top of a priority.
Yeah.
So you've done awesome. I always love shouting your name. Like, look at Emma. Look what Emma did.
Thank
That's
you.
so
This has
good.
been like a dream. Like truly, like this is when you guys reached out, like this has been such a dream. And
I love it.
I'm just super thankful for all of your guidance. And I don't think I would be in this position and feeling confident and excited to do what I do on a day-to-day basis without that support. So
Oh, that's the best.
I love
can't wait
it.
to meet you for coffee or wine or whatever next time I'm in
All of
Iowa.
it.
Yeah, all of it. A whole day. We'll do photos.
That's so fun. There you go.
Kayla, how
Very
far
cool.
is Iowa from you?
Different parts are about 3 or 4 hours, so not far.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
that is not bad. That
That's
sounds like
doable.
absolutely a little girl's day.
Yes. Okay, wait. It might be farther than that. It might be a little bit farther than that. I think it depends what route you take. But yes, I've been to Iowa one time, and
Okay.
I think it was
Look up Des Moines.
Keokuk, Iowa. That's where I've been.
Oh, yeah.
So that's so funny. Emma, this was so good. Thank you so much. And we will put all of your information in the show notes so that everyone can go follow you and network with you and all of the things so you can meet your goal of referring a lot more people to a lot more great agents. So love that.
Thank you so much for being here, Emma. This was so much fun. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, seriously.
Same. Thank
Very
you, girls.
cool. All right, bye.
All right. Bye, guys. Wait. We will see you next Tuesday. My ending line.
Your signature
I
line.
almost forgot. All right. Bye, girls. I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.